The Casa Malpais tour begins at the Casa Malpais Museum located at 318 East Main Street in Springerville, Arizona. If you don't have time to take the tour, the museum is well worth a look as it features the best artifacts found during previous excavations. The site is only open to the public through guided tours, with the bus heading out at 9 in the morning and 1 in the afternoon, Tuesday through Saturday, weather permitting. Children 4 through 12 are $5, folks 13 through 59 are $12, seniors 60 and up are $10. The weather phenomenon most likely to prevent a tour from taking place is the wind. Sustained winds over 25 miles an hour will result in a no-go. The tour takes 2 hours and will take you over steep and rocky terrain. Wear the right shoes. There is no water once you get on the site, so bring some. The site consists of different levels or terraces, if you will. The tour begins at the lowest, the agricultural level. Here, the inhabitants of Casa Malpais cultivated a variety of crops. Petroglyphs are everywhere at the Casa Malpais site. Here, tour guide Jeff Fisher demonstrates the old Casa Malpais hat trick that makes an otherwise invisible petroglyph viewable in the harsh Arizona sun. As the tour progresses toward the second level, there is a grinding slick located right next to the trail. Those who live along the Mexican border are doubtless familiar with the mano and metate used to grind corn into flour. Here, the metate part is simply a flat spot on a large rock. Here, Jeff stops to point out an interesting plant, the Fremont barberry, Mahonia fremonti. When crushed, the berries produce a purple dye that ancient Pueblo peoples are thought to have used on various objects. Just before the second level, what Jeff calls the fifth terrace, is a series of petroglyphs. Let's listen to Jeff explain.
Interpretations. It can be used to indicate a migrational pattern. It can be used to indicate a movement of the stars in the sky at night. It can be used to indicate a pathway to water, abundant or sweet water, if you will. It can be used for a number of different things, and so like I said before, we don't really try to interpret each individual symbol because of that. Right above that particular spiral, you can see faintly another image that looks to me like a small footprint.
Yeah, that's exactly what it looks to me too.
And so I don't know, that could represent the bear clan.
Oh, the bear clan, yeah.
It could also represent that this is a trail, but this trail here, although we do believe this was one of the original trails leading up to the Pueblo, it seems like an odd place for that symbol to be clear up there.
Yeah.
But again, there's no way of knowing for certain.
Here, Jeff explains the layout and function of the Great Kiva. Casa Malpais is considered to have functioned as a ceremonial center for a rather wide area. The uniqueness of the structure's rectangular shape caused Emil Hori, the father of southwestern archaeology, to come up with the novel designation of Mogollon culture. The Great Kiva measures 50 by 40 feet for a total of 2,000 square feet. One of the great things about the Casa Malpais tour is that you get to go into the Great Kiva itself. Bighorn sheep are native to the area, and their frequent walking around on top of the walls causes collapses both great and small, so you have to be careful of loose rocks as you take the steps down into the Kiva. Not only was Casa Malpais a major ceremonial center, it was also part of an extensive trading network, as evidenced by the many different styles of pottery on display in the Kiva. As Jeff points out, tree ring dating places the founding of Casa Malpais to the mid-1200s. The presence of different pottery styles shows that the site was inhabited into the early 15th century.
Over the place or whatever. It also provided a screen for the ceremonial participants as they entered the the Kiva, to perform their ceremonies. Nobody would see them until they came out from behind this wall. And at that point, everybody within this structure, including the participants, probably would have partaken of some natural substance that would enhance their level of enthusiasm or awareness and created a dream or two. And so when these performers came out from behind this wall in the smoke and the flickering light, they probably appeared to be spirit beings to the people who were at various levels of intoxication.
people don't even need intoxication.
Right, right.
This small room off the main entrance is thought to have been a changing room of sorts for the performers. In addition to being a ceremonial center, Casa Malpais was also a settlement. Let's listen to what Jeff has to say about this part of the site.
Anyway, the Pueblo, as I said before, we believe had somewhere between 50 and 60 ground level rooms. We know from the debris that was found in a couple of the rooms that were excavated that there was also an upper level of rooms. We don't know how many upper level rooms there were. We've made a rough guess of somewhere around 20 to 30 upper level rooms, giving us an estimate of total rooms somewhere around 90. And with an average of 3 people per household, that gives us a number somewhere between 250 and 300 total occupants. Now, the homes were small. They were 4 walls and a roof. They didn't have windows or doorways at ground level to the exterior. There was a rooftop hatch for each home and a ladder that led down into their homes. In each home, there was a hearth or a fireplace for warmth or for cooking. Some of the rooms had benches that were used for sleeping areas, but most of the rooms were just 4 walls and a roof. And most of their lives, they spent outside. These were simple shelters that were used to protect them from the elements and from whatever danger might be about. But the majority of their lives they spent outside. When the weather was good, they cooked and communed together outside. Nobody was coming over to hang out at your house for pizza and beer. You know, it was all an outdoor existence for the most part. And in the warmer months, they even slept outside. Sometimes they would sleep on the roofs, sometimes in areas throughout the site that they might have slept. And so their homes were just really basic shelters.
One of the features of the cliff face against which Casa Malpais was constructed is the presence of natural fissures in the rocks. These functioned as cellars for the settlement. Bear with the poor audio as Jeff explains what was found.
Correct. And this piece of sandstone covered the opening. In the video, you may remember seeing that opening that was in this room. That was in.
So the video was taking a picture down there.
Yes, exactly.
The video had
An old photograph.
Right. And so once they finished the work here, they put a steel door over the top of that opening, so it's not accessible anymore. But that's the slab that came from that opening. Can you imagine working in this room and finding that slab and brushing off the sand or whatever and the edges, and then determining we can lift this up now, and when you lift it up, there's an opening to the underworld.
That's downright Howard Carter right
No
there.
really.
doubt about it. Found evidence of the diet of the people who lived here. They found fish bones, small animal bones, large animal bones. They found black walnut shells, pinon nut shells. They found small corn cobs, just a variety of different organic material that led them to the conclusion that this was a very healthy people. Now, the time frame of this pueblo was right about the same time of the freedom fighting in Scotland and Ireland, William Wallace time period. And so in Europe during that time, those people were suffering from the plague and from famine, and they were, at least the poor people, were having a very hard time surviving. But these people at Casa Malpais were thriving. They had everything they needed. They had fish in the water. They had water close by. They had wild game to chase. They had all sorts of wild vegetation to use for medicines and foods. And they grew their own crops. They were thriving. Literally dozens of these all throughout the Hidden Valley. Some of them are large enough to seat 15 or 20 people. And as I said, the archaeologists explored these underground areas and found artifacts all throughout, indicating that they had been using these areas
Yes.
regularly. This is another surface that appears to have been ground and worked quite extensively. Not really sure what they did here. I don't think they were grinding food stuff here. It probably would have ended up down below. It might have been an area that they could lay a large animal hide and
let drain
clean
the
it.
blood.
Clean the fat and the meat off of it. Over here is another panel of petroglyphs. These have faded quite a bit over time. Below this is an anthropomorphic symbol of a woman. And she is in a birthing pose. And right here is her child giving birth. There's some other images here that are kind of hard to make out. It may be a large frog symbol. You can see the foot and the leg down below here, perhaps. It could be two completely different symbols. It's hard to say for sure. There's another symbol over here that was some sort of animal that had a long curled tail. Might have been a mountain lion. Hard to say for sure, but because it's so faded. But these and all the other symbols that we've seen so far are all petroglyphs. Petroglyphs are etched into the surface or the patina of the stone, scratched or pecked. Pictographs are symbols that are painted on the surface. And pictographs are rarely seen exposed to the elements. Generally, they're hidden away in an alcove or a cave somewhere where they're protected. But if you look very closely, and you have to look closely, it's hard to see right here. You can see an image of an animal.
Yeah. In kind of orange.
Yep. Orange brown color. And then there's another image over here that's hard to make out. These two images, when I first started doing tours, I never even saw them.
Without you, I don't think.
And
I
then
could.
somebody else who was a tour guide previous to me pointed them out to me.
A steep, narrow passageway leads to the very top of the Casa Malpais site. Though mildly harrowing, the vantage point will allow you to take in the site and the valley below.
And at some point, that water went underground. And we now sit on one of the largest aquifers in the United States. But as that water moved away, it sucked the land back with it.
And so it's kind of a slump.
Of course, this is just the Casa Malpais tour in a nutshell. There is so much more to see and learn. So, if you're ever in Springerville, make some time to take in this unique site.